What if the one thing that's holding you back from your absolute best ideas isn't some lack of talent, but just a lack of confidence? Well, today we're going to unpack this idea of creative confidence based on the brilliant work of Tom and David Kelley. Let's dive right in.
So, let me start with a question for you. And I want you to be really honest with yourself. Do you think of yourself as a creative type? For so many of us, the answer is an immediate no. It's like we've been taught to put people into these neat little boxes. You're either the analytical numbers person or you're the free-spirited creative.
And that thinking leads directly to this huge myth, this idea that creativity is some kind of rare, magical gift that only a select few are born with. But what if that's just completely wrong? What if that single belief is the main thing that's been holding us back from our most innovative work? Okay, so if we're going to unlock all that creativity we have inside us, we first have to face the one big obstacle standing in our way. And it's not a lack of talent, it's not a shortage of good ideas. The real villain here is fear. And these fears, they're so universal, right? That fear of being judged for what you think is a silly idea. That fear of just starting something new. That fear of wading into the unknown without a clear map. And, of course, the big one, that paralyzing fear of failure. These are the walls that keep our natural creativity all locked up.
So how do we start to fight back against all that fear? Well, the antidote, according to the psychologist Albert Bandura, is something called self-efficacy. Now, this isn't about having some kind of magical, bulletproof confidence. It's much simpler. It's just the belief that you can succeed. And here's the most important part. This belief isn't something you're born with. It's something you actually build through experience.
And let's tackle that fear of failure head-on with what we can call the failure paradox. We have this picture in our heads of geniuses like Thomas Edison just never failing. But the reality? Oh, he failed constantly. It's actually pretty simple. If you want more success, you have to be okay with more failure. The most successful innovators just run way more experiments. And this is how we get there. You see, creative courage isn't built in some giant heroic leap. It's just the result of small, manageable steps, taken one after another. That's how we build that belief in ourselves along the way.
So what is that first small step? Well, it starts by shifting your focus away from your own brilliant ideas and onto the needs of other people. It all starts with empathy.
Let me tell you about a guy named Doug Dietz. He was a designer at GE, and he created this incredible, state-of-the-art MRI machine. He was super proud of it, until he saw a little girl crying, absolutely terrified before her scan. That's when he found out that a staggering 80% of kids had to be sedated. This completely shook him, and it sent him to Stanford's design school, where he learned all about human-centered design. He came back, and using empathy, he transformed that cold, scary machine into an adventure, a pirate ship or a spaceship.
And the results? They were just incredible. Patient satisfaction scores shot up by 90%, and the need for sedation just plummeted. Think about that. He didn't change the technology at all. He changed the human experience around it. That is the power of empathy in action.
It really all comes down to this simple truth. When you have empathy for people, it makes your observations powerful sources of inspiration. The moment you start to truly understand what people need and how they feel, you unlock this endless well of ideas for really innovative solutions.
Okay, so we've started to conquer fear with small steps, and we've grounded our work in empathy. Now it's time for the most critical part, making that leap from just thinking and planning to actually doing. A lot of us get stuck in what's called the knowing-doing gap. We read all the books, we make all the plans, but we never quite get started. Here's the thing. Real innovation doesn't come from perfect planning. It comes from having a bias towards action. It's about launching something quickly, learning by doing, and just making it better as you go. The story of the Pulse newsreader app is just a perfect example of this. The creators, Akshay and Ankit, they succeeded because they lived by these rules. They didn't overplan. They just had a do-something mindset. They were getting feedback from day one. They built super quick prototypes. I'm talking Post-it notes. And they used a tight deadline as fuel, not as a barrier. So here's the big takeaway from all this. Stop waiting for the perfect idea or the perfect plan. In the early stages, perfection is the enemy of progress. If you want to make something great, you just have to start making. All right, let's bring this home with a few practical tools you can start using today to build up that creative muscle. Think of this as your starter kit for the journey ahead.
So here are 3 simple but really powerful exercises. You can try a mind map to break free from that rigid linear thinking and find surprising connections. Need a quick jolt of creativity? The 30 circles exercise is this amazing 3-minute warm-up to just get ideas flowing fast. And if you want to channel your inner Doug Dietz, use an empathy map to turn simple observations into really powerful insights.
And please remember, as you try these tools out, the goal is not to be perfect. You're not trying to create a masterpiece on your first go. The goal is simply to practice. It's just like learning an instrument or a sport. Creative confidence gets easier and more natural the more you do it. Because at the end of the day, creative confidence isn't something you find in a book or listen to in an explainer. It's something you build. And you build it through action, by taking that first small step, and then the next one, and then the next.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Forget about trying to change the world tomorrow. Instead, just ask yourself this: what is one small, totally manageable action you can take today to start building your creative confidence? Your journey starts right now.